Hi, hello. Welcome to your Unit 1 set of videos. Please make sure that you know exactly what homework format you need to use, and go ahead and get started. Alrighty, my friends. So for today's video, we are looking at trade and transportation in ancient Egypt. A very short lesson, but a very, very important one, especially for the ancient Egyptians. So please make sure that you understand your homework type for this set of notes. And our objectives for this video is, yes, once again, when should history start? Number 2, where were the tools and methods used? What were the tools and methods used for transportation across ancient Egypt? And then lastly, why did trade matter for the ancient Egyptians? So let's go ahead and get started. So within Egypt, the Nile River greatly facilitated or made it easier, right, for transportation. And Egyptians traveled up and down the river because they had the Nile River for them. Because the Nile flows north, right, so towards the Mediterranean Sea, boats could ride the currents from the upper to the lower parts of Egypt. So, in other words, it made it incredibly efficient to travel via the Nile River. Right? It was a lot faster to do it because you had this pretty easy, accessible thing for you. And I want you to take a really good look at this image that I have here for you and specifically look at who the pharaoh was during this time. Alrighty. So soon after 3000 BCE, Egyptians sailed beyond the Nile into the Mediterranean, right? So, for example, you have on the left-hand side, this image here, you have the upper Egyptian area all the way down to the lower Egyptian area and then into the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so they've traveled all along the Nile and obviously into the Mediterranean Sea as well. And then by about 2000 BCE, the Egyptians thoroughly started to explore their other regions. So besides their Nile River, besides the Mediterranean Sea, they started to go off and explore the Red Sea, which is just right to the east, right to the right of ancient Egypt, as well as going down and starting to go actually through the Arabian Sea as well, which is really, really awesome. So it truly shows the ancient Egyptians were incredibly not only excited, but curious about exploring their world, their region. So they weren't just stuck in one area, okay? Egyptians also made use of Mesopotamian style wheeled vehicles for any local transportation. And they relied on donkeys to transport between the Nile River and to the various ports next to the Red Sea, right? So they had a lot of ports right next to the Red Sea. So obviously you can't have a boat from the Nile to the Red Sea. You're going to have these transportations. And honestly, it just looks like kind of like a chariot, right? Wheeled by donkeys. So this, shows that the Egyptians were not isolated, right? They were trying to communicate with other regions, other civilizations during their time period, and they knew the Mesopotamians were there. Okay? They were not unknown to this group. And speaking of, let's go ahead and start looking at trading between the Egyptians and other groups locally. So when it comes to the trade network, you have specialized labor and efficient means of transportation that really encouraged long distance trade for the ancient Egyptians. So that long distance trade could have been a huge catalyst for going into, the Red Sea. Let me go back and show it to you. Yeah, the Red Sea, right, as well as the Arabian Sea. It was most like a huge catalyst, right, to explore more of the Mediterranean Sea, as you see here in this image, and so on and so forth. Egypt was in special need of trade because of their environment. Because Egypt as a whole, as the climate started in Egypt, started to get more dry, they didn't have the number one resource, natural resources that they really, really needed in order to continue building various objects, crafts, tools, etc. And that is wood, right? Timber. They didn't have that. And that's why, to be frank, a lot of the different buildings and structures and architecture is not made out of wood because they don't have that resource there. Right? So they had to grab that out. In order to do that, you need to trade. So in a way, they're kind of actually forced and pushed to trade with other individuals, other civilizations. So Egypt would soon start trading with other local Northern African tribes like the Nubians, but there's also evidence of them trading with Mesopotamian individuals, all along the Mediterranean Sea as well, and parts of Lebanon. Right? So they did definitely have access to all of these areas, and for the most part, it seemed to be a-okay. But then we got to look at the types of goods, right, that they would not only receive besides timber, but also that they would give out, right? Because if you're trading something, you have to give something back in order to seem appealing. So some of the Egyptian items that were exported, okay, and exported, just in case you don't know, means that they have to sell those things out, right? They're selling these various things. So you have ivory or ebony, right? And you have an example right over here made out of like elephant tusks or rhino tusks or whatnot. It used to be a huge, popular, expensive item because it was really scary and difficult to kill those animals that produce it. Now it's highly illegal because those animals are becoming extinct. But then you also have leopard skin, ostrich feathers. You have various gemstones, and sometimes those gemstones will be like this with the cicada. Beautiful beetle right there for you. Gold and slaves. Also, they would give out silver, linen, various textiles, so like shirts, dresses, etc., leather goods, and also they would sell various lentils as well to eat. Right? But most of the items that they needed to import, right, they needed to buy, they needed to gain, were various types of pottery. Perhaps it was honey, like right here, for example, in this image. It's really, really cool. It looks like it's an Egyptian, I don't know, either like worshiping or perhaps just like trying to gain and grab all that honey from these bees. Wine, pretty popular. Wine specifically came from the regions around the Mediterranean Sea, specifically in modern day Italy. Various finished products, and then you have cedar. And cedar, for example, are like these like this material that can make out various types of pottery and whatnot. So when it comes to the most prized exports, they were these fine linen textiles that were woven from flax that flourished all across the Nile Valley, as well as high quality decorative ornamental objects such as boxes, right? Then you put not like, I don't know, like a box full of tools, for example. They would make boxes to put like prized possessions, like a jewelry box. That's my one word I can't say. So just so you know. So you have like those boxes. They would make these beautiful furnishings, especially from ivory as well, and then various jewels. by skilled artisans. And then when it comes to imports, once again, since Egypt had very, very few trees, they had to grab all of their wood abroad, as you see here in this image. And that's that, right? It's very, very short video for you guys today. So what do we learn? Hey, guess what? Humans are still very complex. And Egyptians, very, very much so, depended on their various types of transportation to ensure that they received the necessary goods that they needed, like wood. So if you have any questions, just please let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. Wow, what a fantastic, invigorating, insightful, productive, wonderful video that Miss I has created for you. Yes, I know, you can go ahead and clap for me. It's totally fine. Please, please, please make sure that you have completed whatever homework format I have asked and given to you for this video, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye.